Good morning.
Good morning. There we go. Good morning. So we're here to talk about Mac management. Our talk is called something like "Help! My team just got a Mac and I don't know what to do," or something like that. I'm Jake Rundall from Technology Services at FA. This is Paul Roberts from Technology Services at Swanland. Matt Childress from Technology Services at Swanland also, and Brynnen Owen from Gissel's IT.
Not technology services.
Yeah. It's right there for
Okay, so the title of our talk is "My Dean Just Bought a Mac." Help! My Dean just bought a Mac. So this is the Dean of LIS, Alan Rainier, and he went over to the Illini Union Tech Zone, and he picked up his MacBook Pro box and came over with it and was ready for us to set it up for him. And this might have happened to. By the time we get the mic in there, I'm going to sit down. So he came over to our help desk, had the Mac, and we have some Mac stuff so we can help him out, but this isn't necessarily always the case. So what do you do if this happens and you've got no Macs in your unit?
Call Swansea.
Step one. Whoa. Step one. Don't panic. If you ask my eldest daughter what step one is, she will always reply back, "Don't panic." Step two, see step one. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool. You live the dream when you're part of a team. So at this point in time, I'd like the people that in our unit and other units. I don't think Gary Bernstein is here, but there he is. Turn around. He is the guy that was responsible for Monkey on campus being here at all. He introduced us as Swanland Monkey, and we started using it, and he runs it at FAA, and we've been wanting to do a presentation on Monkey for quite some time. And then the power plant stuff came on, and then we're like, well, should we do it, should we not do it? And then we just finally decided, okay, let's do it. All right, so Drew Coos, stand up, please. Drew is on our team of Swanland who does Monkey stuff. Jordan Lease does Monkey stuff. My supervisor, Brynnen, basically keeps us all coordinated on our end. And is there anybody else that I'm forgetting that has helped us along the way? Okay, great. And then we also have, what?
Evan Taylor from FA, Matt Shirk from FA.
So the point is that we've got a lot of knowledgeable people about Monkey on campus and using it. And engineering IT is also using it.
Okay. Hold it that way so it doesn't point to the speaker.
Gotcha. All right. So next slide. See you. Thanks, Jordan. All right.
All right, so we have our Dean. He comes in with his Mac. I'm going to set this back down. So he comes in with his Mac, and what we want to give him when he shows up, we want to give him default software configuration, and we know what these things are. These things like, Firefox, Flash, and so forth. And then we want to give him some additional software, too, that is specific only to LIS. I'm just right on the verge of feedback. So in LIS, we use some software that is library school software that no one else on campus uses, but we need to give it to him. Some of these titles we don't even know he needs. He might not even know he needs when he asks for the Mac, but we still want to be able to get those to him in some way where it's easy for everyone involved. And once all the software is installed, we also want to make sure that everything stays up to date, because it doesn't do any good to install software and then 5 years later discover that it hasn't been updated a single time yet. So back to you.
All right. So your Gene living the dream. So standard Firefox, awesome. It's just there. Office, Firefox, Chrome, Flash, your basics. Common university software, also awesome, because 2 clicks and you can access it through a self-serve catalog, and we'll show you that a little bit later. So we're talking Adobe CC, Skype, Boxing, any mix and mash of software between site licensed university software and basically public domain software or software that's open source that you can download anywhere. What we found is basically if you have a self-serve catalog, your Macs get a lot less infected, because one of the popular venues to put unwanted software on is to go to CNET and then grab a nice program installer with their own installer that throws on basic adware and stuff like that. Departmental software is also awesome, because that same self-serve catalog, 2 clicks and download it. You can configure it to have your specific stuff like Gissel's uses Oxygen XML, UniHigh uses Lego Mindstorms, Mesh Mixer and QLab are from FAA. And once again, if you have all those programs installed, you probably want to keep it up to date. And you can do that anywhere in the world. And the product that does this, the main product that does this, is Monkey. So what is Monkey? On the back end, it's literally just a web server. And this is key, because it's just a web server. It's running over port 80, and the secure port, was it 443? Which means that it will punch through just about any place in the world, with the possible exception of the iHotel, because the network gets swamped. Okay. So, but we've actually gotten Macintoshes to update for Chancellor Weiss, former Chancellor Weiss, when she was behind the Great Firewall of China. So it does check into there. On the client side is where all the magic happens. Basically, it's Python, and it's got a nice graphical user interface for the people that you support to interact with, but that's where all the work happens. The front-facing end is just a web server. It's open source and it's free. There's no per client charge. You leave the University of Illinois, we'll miss you, but you'll be able to take the knowledge of how to run this stuff with you to your next institution. It's very well supported, even though it's open source. A lot of people have this idea that open source software isn't well supported. We post to the Monkey support groups all the time. We get a turnaround time of the questions asked generally in an hour or 3 or less, and fees are not just, we received your question and it's entered the queue. It's responses back with targeted things to try by other Mac sysadmins around the world.
And often also by the developers of the software.
Right. Monkey is used by a major institution. Google supports about 30,000 Macs with a variant of Monkey called Simian. Facebook likes Monkey about 10,000 times. The lead developer for Monkey is Greg Nagel, rhymes with bagel, Walt Disney Animation Studios. So pretty much every Disney movie that you see has Monkey supporting it in the back end in terms of development. Dropbox, University of Illinois, has about 1,000 Macs on it so far, give or take 1,000. And then there's some other universities in the Big Ten that apparently use it too, and lots of K through 12 universities worldwide. But back to the dean.
Okay, so we want to know what our dean is going to actually see and how this is going to work. So start off with, we're familiar, if you've used a Mac, this is the Mac App Store. And the Mac App Store, this comes with the machine, has a big banner at the top that says what you're supposed to buy. It has a bunch of links over at the side that tell you what you're supposed to buy, and then a whole bunch of other software that you're supposed to buy, and that's basically the App Store from Mac. If we look at the App Store that comes with Monkey, this is, once again, we have it branded. This happens to be from Swanland. At the top, there's a big banner. On the side here, we have links related to the software that you'd want them to use from the Monkey App Store. And then here are all the site licensed or open source products that we're including automatically. So if you need to install Adobe Illustrator, you can just come here to the App Store, whether you have to the Monkey App Store as opposed to the Apple App Store. It's a familiar interface. Go ahead and click on it. You can install any of these. You don't need admin. It'll work. Also, we have some open source packages in here. So for example, Adium, you can install through the App Store. And if you install it through the Monkey App Store, you're not going to get those wrappers because you downloaded it off of some site that includes 4,000 free programs with each download that you want. So this is really great. What about updates? Well, once again, the App Store from Apple have things that need to be updated with an update bar. And now if we look at the Monkey, it looks almost exactly the same, just slightly different in appearance, but effectively the same thing. You'll notice several things. First of all, it says when a restart is required, so you're not going to be surprised. So if you're about to give a presentation that says there's an update, the dean doesn't go, okay, I'll just do this update real fast, and then wait 20 minutes while his machine's rebooting and not be able to do his presentation. Also, that first update, that's an Apple security update. And under the Apple security update is another Apple update. So Monkey will actually look on the system, and if it knows about a software package, it will update it whether Monkey is the one that installed it or not. So if you have someone who has admin privileges and they download Firefox and they download some other software package, didn't get it from Monkey where they probably should, if Monkey knows about it, it'll say, oh, I see that you have Flash on your machine. I didn't install it, but I'm going to update it anyway. It's nice because it tells you a restart is required. You can force restart. I think that's, are we to the next slide then? Yeah.
Okay.
So basically at this point, Dean can get a software when he needs it. So if he's in China getting ready to give a presentation and realizes that he wants to edit the graphic, and I wouldn't think he'd actually be able to do this, but thinks he can just quickly install Photoshop and edit the picture real fast, well, he can at least install Photoshop without having to worry about giving credit card information or buying it from someplace or trying to use web store or anything. He can click on it, and even through the Great Firewall of China, it will install locally and be maintained then. He doesn't have to call us, because for us it'd be, who knows what time when he's trying to do this. He'd never be able to actually get a hold of us. He can just do it. Once he's done all this and he has the software installed, an update probably is going to come out. There's the hourly flash update that comes out. And when that comes out, one of the things you can do is you can tell Monkey either this is an update, or you can say this is an update, install it by Friday, which probably would be a good thing to do today, so maybe install it by Wednesday. And so if you tell an app that it needs to be updated by Wednesday, the Monkey system will come up and say, there's an update, you need to install it by Wednesday, or I'm going to install it for you. So now that Dean's getting ready to give his presentation, he can decide, well, I don't need to do it now, or he can say, I'm giving my presentation in 2 days, I better do the update now so that 2 days from now it won't be a problem. His schedule isn't going to be interrupted because he opens up his Mac, plugs it in, and it says, I'm going to update Flash for you, please wait 2 hours while he's trying to give a presentation. That's not going to happen. Once again, keep advertising this. It works anywhere in the world, probably except the iHotel. So,
But what's the catch here, right? I mean, it sounds too good to be true. We all know that endpoint management is incredibly time-consuming. We're talking about a new system, maybe we're going to have to set up a new server, and then we're going to have to spend the rest of our lives importing and updating software, right? We talked about the hourly flash updates. Of course, there's very critical Java updates suddenly, and Chrome is constantly updating those kind of things. It's very time-consuming. But there's no catch, okay? It's just a free lunch, like, the roast beef sandwich you're going to get today. Monkey is easier than native installs usually. It's easier to import something into Monkey and install it on a couple of machines even than it is to run the native installer. And it's so easy and such a great experience that we use it on our own ITPro Macs. We don't know how to live without it. I keep my boss's Mac up to date with Monkey, and he likes it too. But how is this really? Like how is this such a great product? There's lots of ways that Monkey lends itself to automation. I mean, any endpoint management system is lending itself to automation. It's using automation to do simple repetitive work. But Monkey takes it a bit farther in that it can help you keep your software repository up to date for you. You can download software as soon as it's available from the developer and put it in a testing catalog so that you can evaluate it and decide when to give it out to your clients. So what this does, this automation, shifts your effort from packaging software, from that repetitive, mundane work, and allows you to shift your effort towards providing quality of service and making sure your customers get the software they need when they need it.
Okay, so what is the Monkey ecosystem? So basically, Monkey is just a web server on the front end and Python on each individual client. The Monkey ecosystem basically allows you to automate a lot of processes that, for the most part, fall into the ditch digging category of IT, and make the actual release of packages and things like that Macintosh easy. So on the, let me make sure I got my right and my left. On the right hand side, we have that butler up there, Jenkins. Turns out that Jenkins isn't really used for endpoint management so much at all by most of the world. The best way to describe Jenkins, it's technically a continuous integration server. Software development people use it a lot. Basically it allows you to check your code in and do a complete rebuild that relies on other people's code. Monkey folks typically use it as a souped up version of cron. It allows you to schedule jobs, it allows you to create jobs, and then allows you to easily manage the jobs through and use a web interface. And if you need to disable the job and stop it from processing, it's just a simple click of a button. Use Jenkins to manage what's probably one of the best endpoint management products out there. Again, everything on this page, with the exception of Deploy Studio, is open source. AutoPKG. AutoPKG takes crowdsourced recipes, which tell AutoPKG where to go to download the software. So the way that this integrates is AutoPKG has recipes for Firefox, for Chrome, for basically a lot of open source software that you can download, knows where to download it from, and it's kept up to date on GitHub. AutoPKG is a command line script that runs, and Jenkins manages it. So on our Monkey implementation, Jenkins is scheduled to check 5 times a day, I think, from the hours of 7 until 10 p.m., and it runs through all the software that we've plugged it in, and it goes out to the website and checks and see if there's new stuff. If it finds new stuff, it sends us an email that says, hey, this was downloaded and put into the testing catalog. If it breaks, we get an email that says, hey, this process failed. And if it repeats several times, then somebody is supposed to go and hit the disable button and troubleshoot why it's broken. So it shifts your effort from going out and checking, is there new software, is there new software, is there new software, to, oh, there's new software, great. Or, oh, it's broken, I need to go fix the automation. Deploy Studio on the other side. Deploy Studio is basically, for people that are familiar with the PC side of things, it's basically Ghost. So you can Ghost Drive. You can also use it to do other things, but basically you would start off, if you had a lab of 20 Macintoshes, you basically Ghost the hard drives. And the very last step of the workflow in Deploy Studio would be to throw the Monkey installer at it, and then it would go and it would go and grab all the software that you have for it for Monkey. The Monkey admin GUI. The first time that Drew actually showed me the Monkey admin GUI, I wanted to hurt him. It is that easy. Previously, and you can still do it this way, previously Mac admins using Monkey did a lot of work in plist. You would fire up Text Wrangler, slog it out by hand, and if you typoed, well, that was pretty much it. Monkey admin GUI takes care of all of that, and it turns adding packages into a click and a drag and a checkbox, and it's really simple and really easy to do. The last piece down there at the bottom in the middle is Monkey Reports, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that. Most of the products that are in the Monkey ecosystem integrate very, very well. Monkey Reports runs with Monkey, but it's not dependent necessarily on Monkey itself. What it does is it reports on the Monkey user status. And when I first installed it and we started working with it, this is what we saw. Okay.
Yeah, essentially the smart status is the first thing we noticed, and I was like, we had one failing, we're like, well, that's interesting. So we clicked on it and said, found out what user it was. I walked over to the building and I walked into his office, and the first thing he said to me was, oh, I've been meaning to email you. My Mac has been running really slow the last couple of days, but I got this big presentation, or not presentation, but research proposal. So I was like, okay, well, your hard drive's failing. So we need to replace it sooner than later. That's why it's slow. So we ended up, but he was so busy he didn't have time, so we ended up throwing a time machine backup on it. And the next week, we took the hard drive out, replaced it all, so he didn't lose any downtime. Because normally what would happen, that hard drive would have failed, and then he would have lost everything, and then we would have to try to restore off a failed drive. So that's when we realized how important the reporting was, because it allowed us to be a little bit more proactive, trying to fixing the problem. Then, oh, my computer just died.
So again, wow, this is awesome, but I have only 3 Macs. How am I gonna do all this work to keep up with those 3 Macs? That's where the multi-tenant Monkey installation, that concept comes into play.
I think this is actually where I sort of got into Monkey, because don't mind turning that too loud. Hit the speaker. So when we've 10, 12 years ago started building our own Mac endpoint management system. A decade ago, there really wasn't that much out there. Things weren't all that great, so we kind of pieced a few scripts together and got things working to run our Mac labs. And it worked pretty well, but it has a couple of minor problems. One is you have to be in the building, and that kind of means that laptops just are a non-starter. You have to be on our subnet, which means anything on wireless doesn't work. So we kind of needed to do a lot of upgrades to it, and it happened to be that Matt was coming over to talk about something else, and we started talking about Monkey. He was talking about Monkey with Jennifer Anderson, one of the people I work with, who's not here today. And we're like, yeah, that's what we need to move to. And so I didn't want to start off and say, well, let me set up a web server, let me set up Jenkins, let me set up auto package. It started being done on campus several different places. So I said, okay, let's do this. Let's all get together and let's set up one server, and on that one server we'll run one instance of Jenkins, one instance of auto package, one instance of monkey reports, one instance of all these things. We don't have to duplicate everyone's effort. And then we'll need to figure out a way that we can have our own customizations in it as well. And this is what sort of developed into our multi-tenant monkey installation. So we have a big centrally managed set of software, which is what Jenkins and auto package takes care of. And everyone can just use it. But I don't have to go through and repeat the effort that people are already doing. So what do I need to do to put my machine on here? Well, you need to register your Mac's Mac, and that's how it identifies what machine it is and what group it should be with. And then you have to install Monkey, and then you're kind of done with what you need to do to get all of the updates, all of these software packages, all these catalogs. Everything's already there because people are already doing it. There's no reason for every unit to repeat this. So what do you do then? Well, you can set it and forget it. You're all done. Or you can decide, you know what? I like the idea of using the shared monkey service, and I like a lot of the stuff, but I have a whole lot of very specific custom Macintosh pieces I need to put in place. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to become the monkey master builder to continue the Lego theme here. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to really learn how to use monkey. I'm going to go in and make my own packages, I'm going to make my own configurations, and still be able to leverage some of the other work that's being done on campus. So how do we set this up?
Oops,
Wrong direction. So what we did is we figured out we'd make a hierarchy of repositories. So what we have is we have the university system as a whole, where we can put software that's site licensed for the entire university. This is thinking really grandiose. Whether it gets this big, we'll find out. But put software that the entire university system can use one place. And then there are subgroups like the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. That can be a subgroup. And so we'll put software that's site licensed or available or relevant only to UIUC in that repository. And then we're in Gislis, we're part of UIUC, so that would be a group under UIUC. And by having this, I can go into the Gislis portion of this, and I can import anything either from the global catalog or from the UIUC catalog, and I can leverage all of those pieces. And if all I want is that software, I don't have to do anything, I just get it. If I want to customize it and say, well, I really don't like the way, I don't like the way Flash is packaged. I want to package it differently. I have no idea why I'd want to do this. But if I wanted to say, no, it's packaged wrong, I need to do it my own way, I can go in and override that if I want to. So it gives me complete control. I can do anything I want, completely ignore the global catalogs, or I can say, you know what? I don't want to care about this. I've got 3 Macs. They just need what is available globally. I can include the global catalog, do nothing on the site, and it all just works. So how's this actually accomplished? Because this isn't really a core part of Monkey. Well, it's pretty easy. We did some Apache tricks to do some dynamic redirecting of things. It's just a few redirect rules. It's not very hard to do. We use client certificates to determine membership and also make sure things are kept secure. So for example, in Gislis, we might have software that legally we have site license just for LIS and no one else can use it. And if that's the case, we need to make sure that only people in LIS have access to it. So we have a certificate for each computer that says what group it's a part of. And when it presents that certificate to the web server, this web server says, oh, you're in Gislis, you get access to these things, and it'll only let me see those particular packages. And so that way, I keep everything secure. I know which machines have access to my stuff, and if, for whatever reason, a machine goes missing, I can revoke that certificate, and then I don't have to worry about someone in, someone in China going and stealing all of our software because they have a certificate and get access to the system. The way we actually manage this is we mount the hierarchy using WebDAV, and most people are going to hear that and are going to shudder and climb under the chair because if you're used to net files, you're thinking, I don't think I want to use WebDAV, it's not the best protocol. But that was net files, which took all of your files, uploaded them through WebDAV, converted it into a binary object, and shoved it in a database. That's not quite the same thing as what this is. In fact, as a test, both of these gentlemen were pushing like a 10 gig and a 15 gig file to the WebDAV server at the same time, and in like 5 minutes, both of them were done. So it's very high performance, very good file system when used in this context. So if you're used to hearing WebDAV and thinking, no, it actually works pretty well.
Right, and just to clarify, the WebDAV is for admin imported
Right.
into Monkey. Of course, the Monkey client is just using HTTPS to contact the server.
Well, this is our monkey. Don't need that. Okay, it's right here. And if you are like most people, we do not install Java on any of our machines by default, unless you just so happen to need Banner. So our user will come down here and go, oh, I need Banner, and they just click it, and it will sit there and start to download. And they can watch it in about 5 minutes, depending on how fast this is. It's downloading the package.
And you do not need to be logged in as an admin user
No,
for this to work.
you do not
That's
need to be
correct.
an admin. This is anybody on the machine. And it would tell me I need to log out and update. But well, because there's also, well, Scan it also found that I have updates for Office 2016. So it's trying to push those two all at the same time. And the security updates. So that's essentially, you would just say log out and update, and it would actually go through and update the machine, and off you go.
Or the user can cancel.
Yeah, the user can cancel and go, oh yeah, I'll do it later. But essentially, that's the catalog and the updates.
We've actually, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
So one other question or comment about the catalog. All the icons that you have there, you're able to customize, correct?
Yeah, those are custom icons that are really they're just PNG files that are on the web server. They're in the directory, and we've got a central file. Basically, when I was working on Brynnen bringing up his server, I took a look at it, and it's like, oh well, the icons aren't there, and so I went to our server, copied over the icons directory, and basically went through and sorted it out pretty quickly. It's pretty basic. The other thing that's really important to know is that technology services at Swanland, that little blurb up there, again, it's just graphics on a web server. I think it may be packaged a little bit. Paul did most of that work, so I'm not exactly sure how it happened.
Yeah.
But it's really simple to change that, and the links on the side, again, it's a file on a web server. You edit it, you point it to where you like, and it works. So you can point it to answers.illinois.edu. You can do your own internal documentation side, things like that.
And you host this?
Do we host it? We host the one for our unit.
Yeah, I should probably comment on this. The multi-tenant Monkey installation that I was talking about earlier is something that we are just getting set up. We thought we'd be a little further along. We've just started putting the first Macs on it, and so it's still kind of in the testing phase. We're hoping fairly soon. We're hoping two things will happen. One is that the power plant committee actually does approve it. It's a recommended sort of at this point, but nothing's officially decided on any of the power plants. But we're hoping it actually gets real support to be the power plant solution. And we also need to get a little bit more documentation running and make sure a few of the other bugs are worked out of it before we actually open it up. But we are starting to put machines on this. And the goal was, as soon as we start getting some machines on it, it was working, that FAA and Swanland were going to actually convert their machines over to the one server. And then any other units that say, you know, I have these 5 Macs, or I have a lab of 400 Macs, could say, you know, I'd kind of like to get on this too, and then we can very easily expand it to add however many we need. If we need to, as far as hardware to run the server, well, you can easily copy web servers and put, you know, we could put a web server in every building if we needed to, if we needed the bandwidth, which I doubt we would. We could put web servers certainly in Chicago and Springfield and here, and so that every campus would have a local web server and mirror the thing. So, I mean, there are lots of options we could do if we end up with bandwidth problems. It's just a web server, we can expand that however we need to. And as far as management, once these base packages, when these global catalogs are managed, there's not a lot else to really do if you don't need any extra packages, so we can add on people pretty easily, but we're not quite ready to do it yet.
No, when we say that it's just a web server, we're talking about the end that faces the clients. There is one little piece to the equation. It's really, really expensive. You can do it with pretty much a Mac Mini running very basic software. Basically, Jenkins and AutoPKG are a lot easier to run and set up if it's running on a Mac Mini, and it just mounts the web data that it needs and writes its files there. So it's not a lot of expense and it's not a lot of effort. We're actually using a Mac Mini that gets pulled out of their lab and has been sitting in a closet for
a year or two.
A year or two.
It's a 5-year-old Mac Mini that's running it.
Got 8 gig of RAM. And
But you can use any Mac Mini you want. You can buy a new one and you can
No,
have a spare.
it only works with a 5-year-old Mac Mini.
I own Apple stock, and so I was taking a look at this and I'm like, man, Mac Pro.
Basically.
You couldn't justify it.
What are
I mean-
on an X server?
Yeah, our instance is running on a 2009 Xserve,
Yeah.
and it's not breaking a sweat.
Yeah. The needs for AutoPKG and Jenkins are very small. There's just a few text files you would need to copy over to a new computer in the case of a disaster. So.
All right.
What about somebody who goes between a dongle and wireless where they have multiple MAC addresses?
Okay, couldn't hear that. That was what happens if you have someone who goes between a dongle and wireless. And this, actually, we're not actually using the network per se. We just had to pick an identifier, and we argued back and forth, and there are a whole bunch of ones you could use: the serial number, a MAC address, some kind of product number or GUID or something. We chose the MAC address of EN0, which will always be a hardwired or a hard built-in network address. So if you have a new Mac that only has wireless, EN0 is the wireless card. If you have one that has a wired connection, it'll be the wired card. We don't care because we're not actually needing to send information over that MAC address. All we need to do is look that up. We talked about whether we could use serial number, and we could use serial number, but there have been cases of computers that have been sent in for repair that come back and the serial number's been wiped out, and so there's no identifier anymore. So, and that's kind of inconvenient. Yeah.
So, just to clarify, the only thing you're using the MAC address for is for creating that client certificate, and the client certificate then becomes your gateway to all the monkey stuff.
Right.
It
So.
doesn't matter whether or not the user is flipping back and forth.
Right.
It's that client certificate that then identifies the monkey what you should get.
Right. I should probably mention a little bit about this because a lot of people aren't familiar with client certificates. It sounds like anything that has to do with SSL certificates is always a big pain in the butt. We all know this. So what we have is we have a system where you register your MAC address on just a normal website. You type in some of the information, and then you turn the Mac on, and it has a default install of Monkey, which has one piece of config that goes to a special place in the Monkey repository, and the only package available is a configuration package. And that configuration package downloads, looks up the MAC address, and uses that MAC address to generate a client certificate for that particular Mac. It can only be done once, so someone can't go into a lab that has a bunch of Macs in it, look up the MAC address, and go and get another certificate for that particular machine. Once it's issued, it's been issued. If you need to reopen it, you can go back to the website and say, give me another 30 minutes, and it'll be open for the next 30 minutes, and then you can generate a new certificate. If you're re-imaging a lab, for example, you can go through and regenerate all, or you don't really regenerate them, but you can reissue all the certificates for that. Once the certificate is issued, you don't care what the MAC address is again, because at that point, it uses the client certificate, and the client certificate has the organizational units and so forth. These don't have to match AD organizational units, but it has the organizational units in the Monkey repository, and from there on, everything is done just with certificates. And as a person who's just using the system, you don't really care that it's a certificate because you go into the system, put in the MAC address, it reboots a couple of times, and it's got its certificate and everything's just running. Yeah.
Brynnen, with the rumors and maybe increased rumors of the PKI coming to campus or public key infrastructure, how does that process change the certificates?
We've actually thought about that, and initially it probably won't because what we're doing is essentially we're substituting a certificate for a password because it's a little bit easier to manage, say, 20,000 certificates than it is passwords. It sounds like it wouldn't be, but with a certificate, you only have to, you just get it in and you verify it. You don't have to look it up and do something else. So we decided that we're essentially giving it a password in the form of a certificate. If we do get a PKI and it is something that starts to take off, we certainly could look into leveraging that. I mean, all we do with the current certificate is Apache verifies it against a local CA, so it's a locally signed certificate. We could verify it against any other certificate we wanted to, and then once we know that the Mac is legitimate, then we know how to process it. So
One of the things that we thought about when we were thinking about the PKI is a lot of people out there in Mac land don't actually bind their machines to AD, and that would be the easiest way to get to public key infrastructure. The other thing, if you're thinking about tying it solely to PKI, is that if you're trying to support bring your own device, BYOD, then whether or not they bind to the AD or not, it's not that you couldn't do it, it's just they may not want you to. And so rolling your own certificates kind of gets rid of that problem. But no, we're really psyched that PKI is coming.
I think given the issues that crop up when updating the OS, for example 10.9, 10.10, and sometimes Apple updates aren't always working properly, can you speak a bit to how Monkey can manage that and also the reposado a little bit?
Yeah, that'd be Jake.
So there's a nice tool called Create OS X Install PKG that you can use a App Store installer to create a PKG file to install a new operating system to update your OS. And at that point, once you have the OS updater in PKG, you can put that in Monkey and upgrade an operating system via Monkey. And that's kind of nice. It's very nice to offer users one place to go to get their software, even El Capitan, if you're ready for that. Another nice thing is that you can ensure during the upgrade process that the very next thing that happens is their apps like iWork apps and iLife apps are going to get updated. Any configurations you have to change for the new operating system will get updated immediately. So that's kind of a very helpful way to go about it. Monkey will install any apps that are in Monkey repo, but it also trigger an Apple software update run. An Apple software update is where point updates to the operating system as well as Safari, iTunes, and some little security configurations come from. So Monkey can install Apple software updates and run that process. And in FAA, we're using a tool called Reposado, which is basically like WSUS for Mac. It's a Apple software update server, and it basically allows us to time when Apple software updates are made available to our end users' computers, and allows us to establish different branches. So we can have a testing branch where we put 10.11.1 on the day it comes out, and then we can promote that update to our colleagues, say, when we're comfortable that it's not going to blow up, and then after another day or something, we can put that out to the whole college, depending on how comfortable we are with that. So Apple, Monkey, or really any kind of system could use something like Reposado, and we would intend to make Reposado available as part of this offering. To answer your question?
For me, just making assumptions about how repositories relate to each other, but it seems, so you can override kind of from repositories that are higher up in the chain, but can you say, like for example, I can see scenarios where, we may say we want to make, so that all the Adobe products in computer labs across campus have the same version of, say, Photoshop, and we don't only want to update them, like say, during breaks. Is that something that you could do without necessarily breaking the whole chain? Like, is it just a vertical chain in the repo structure?
That's sort of where the catalogs are what's available, and then you can also have manifests, which are what you want to actually put on computers. And what you could do, if we decide that as a campus, and this is where governance would come in and it would be determined by the people who have the labs, what they wanted to do, you could set up a separate manifest and a separate set of things for those labs, and then you could have those lab machines not necessarily getting exactly the same catalog or the exact same manifest. You could have a global shared catalog that is what normal like laptops get, and then you can have a global lab shared catalog, which is what lab software would get, where updates only come at certain times. You can do anything like that you want to do. That then becomes a question of who's using the service and who wants, what is wanted from them. So we'd certainly want to have certain software packages, certainly not major releases. Only security patches come except at the end of semesters. So that is something that we would need to do. Yeah.
In our organization, we found that we push updates at 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. That's when we first make them available because it turns out that Uni High gets out of school at
3:05, 3:50.
3:05 or 3:50, and so we make them available after teaching time is done. But yeah.
I'll shoot it back for a while.
Add something really quick. You can also configure machines to respond to monkey updates or to check for monkey updates in different ways. For example, in FAA, our labs will not check for updates at all when somebody's logged in. Instead, they're just going to do it at the login window. And in fact, we've customized it so it only does it between, say, like 1 and 5 in the morning. So that's another way to further control when your users are going to get updates in certain situations.
You had a question forever.
Two things real quick. For the reporting, I'm curious what happens once you drill into one of these categories here. What sort of level of
Which one do you want to see?
Show me something.
Well, go to, let's see who's running 10, because they shouldn't be running that, they should be running the 0.1 because the 10.11.1 actually fixes the Office bug, because if you're running 10.11, you can't run Office 2016 or 2011. So these people need to be updating their machine, and that's why, and actually these are all our IT people, and so we don't use Office. So that's probably why it hasn't been updated, because they don't realize that their Office is broken.
Paul, do you want to set an enforce install by date of next Friday?
Yeah, we come in here and we have the Apple update right here. We can go in and say, oh, well, it's forced it to restart, and we can do the, I don't know what next Friday is. 20th? Is it 20th? 20th at 4. We usually do 5:01 on Friday. That way they don't have to call us. And we'll make it available on all the catalogs and say,
That's why I
okay.
keep Paul around. He thinks about things like this. 5:05. We're out the door.
And then we'll just save it, and that policy is now in effect. And now when they go into their actual report here, the updates, it will actually say requires by this time, and it'll remind them once a day until that day. Then it reminds them once an hour on that day, and then within the hour, then it's every 10 minutes. And then after time, it actually just reboots the machine.
And we've tested this. I played the bad user role, and yep, it's pretty kind and pretty vicious at the end. And we've actually found that our users, or the people that we support, are quite accepting of this. I've got one of the graphics people that I support is absolutely horrid about it, doing their updates.
That's why we have to force it.
But yet, she's actually grateful to us if we give her a deadline, because she does newspaper reporting. She's like, I operate really well with deadlines. If you tell me it has to be done by Friday at this time, then it's a constant reminder that I have to do it by then. If you just say, well, run your updates sometime, then that doesn't actually work for her.
Right. And obviously one of the beautiful things about this is it's so easy technically to manage these things. Again, it frees you up to then have policy discussions and participate in shared operations of this to come together to find the best way to actually make the setting, right? You know, the technical part is simple.
Tuesday I came to Tuesday I got to work, and sitting in my email is a job from Jenkins saying new Adobe Air was downloaded. I go, great, that means I'll have Flash and Chrome by the end of the day. And by 4:30 we had all 3 systems already into Monkey. We didn't do anything. We just sat there and at 4:30 made the checks and said save, and off we went. And if you notice in the reports, we've already have, you go into apps and see what version of the apps are running. We can see just in 2 days, we already have a new version on 87 machines. And the old one's running 70, and we'll have a force to date by the end of, we didn't do it this time, but we'll probably do it next week, so that this number should be all the way up at the top. And we don't delete out old systems, so that's why there's still 7 machines running some of this older stuff, because they're actually lab machines that aren't actually being used anymore.
No, one of the great things about especially this product, again, it's open source. I actually got them to post the license a couple of months ago when I was looking to verify what the legal requirements were on certain things, is that they're very responsive to improvements, and generally the response you'll get back is, yeah, you want that? Sure, code it up and fork it on GitHub and push it back, and we'll vet it and take a look at it. So if you go back to Paul, if you could go back to the main dashboard.
Okay.
If you notice, there's a File Vault 2 status up there. There's one, we've got one of them encrypted. We've actually got more, they just haven't checked in yet because they don't have the latest reporting scripts on them. But if you scroll on down, I think all the way down to the bottom, I think is where we have it hidden. Nope, actually I have no idea where it's at. So, I was looking for the backup status. Time machine? Okay, alright, so we've got time machine status there. So you can see whether or not they're backing up. One of the things that I'm pretty adamant at it, if you're going to encrypt your hard drive, it'd be really nice to have a backup of it. Just in case.
We actually are basically out of time, so, because we're supposed to end at 10:45 and it's 10:46. So I think we'll, at this point, call it done. If you have any other questions, feel free to come up and talk to us while we're putting the tables back. And
There's a link about Monkey that I just threw together this morning. It's go.illinois.edu/MUNKI, Monkey. Right now it's just pointing to more information that was set up by Greg Nagel. It'll take you to a bunch of different videos and things like that about the Monkey stuff. All right.
I think that's it.
All right.